Hello and welcome to the Learning Love podcast. I'm Dr. Mark A. Hicks, author of the book Learning Love. It is possible to build the healthy, happy, thriving relationships you have always wanted. So let's spend some time learning love. Love is the answer. Now all we have to do is explore all the questions. And today's question is, how do we feel good when we feel bad? There's going to be bad things happen. That's the reality of the world. We can always find something that is going wrong in the world. It's a fallen world. It's a difficult world. There's just hardships along the way. That's not being pessimistic. That's just the reality of the world. Some things are not going to go the way we want. Some things are going to be difficult. And if we don't learn how to feel good in the midst of a difficult, struggling world, then we're never going to feel good. We have to learn to feel good in the midst of the bad, because feeling good is what brings us into these relationships. It's what builds us up to go through the day. It's what keeps us from falling into that depression of everything being bad. When we can learn how to feel good even in the bad, it helps us to have energy in our day. It helps us to face the day of difficulty with a better attitude. It helps our relationships be thriving relationships because we don't take stuff out on each other. We can build healthier, happier lives and relationships when we learn to feel good when we feel bad. In the midst of a world that is a struggle, how do we feel good anyway? Again, we have to know that there's just bad things that happen. And sometimes we miss that. Sometimes we think things should work a certain way. That if I do everything right, or at least to the best of my ability, if I'm a good person, if I make good decisions, if I keep all the rules, then things should work out fine for me. And then we get really upset when it doesn't. The truth is, there are no shoulds. Things just happen sometimes. Yes, you can increase the odds of things going well if you make really good decisions. And if you're a good person, it's more likely that good things will happen to you. And if you avoid bad decisions and doing bad things, you decrease the odds that bad things will happen to you as a result of your actions. But even if you do everything right, even if you were somehow able to do everything perfectly, there's still the possibility that difficulties are going to come your way. Things are going to go wrong. There are no shoulds. We're not going to get it perfect. And even if we could, things are still going to go wrong. So how do we feel good when we feel bad? The key to this is to understand the difference between happiness and joy. There's a nuance here. There's a division I want to draw between these definitions. Happiness is more about what happens to us outside. It's the circumstances of our life, the things that go on. If something good happens, we're happy. If something bad happens, we're sad, we're upset, we're angry. That is different than joy. Joy is much deeper than that. It's not dependent on our circumstances. That joy is the depth we feel of feeling good about even the small things of life. Just that moment where you have that cup of coffee in the morning while you're sitting on the back porch watching the sunrise. Those kinds of moments are deep joy. You don't have to have anything in the world happen other than the sun come up. But those are moments of actual joy. Those relationships that you are building that are happy, healthy, thriving relationships, those are a place of deep joy. And that doesn't change just because things are sometimes unhappy in the world around you. Even when bad things happen, you can still have that deep sense of joy. For example, I once knew a lady. She was 104 years old. Actually, she was 104 and a half, and she would tell you that because she said, at my age, the half matters. She was 104 and a half when she died. She had lived, obviously, a long life, and she had lived a happy life. She had had a wonderful, happy marriage. She had wonderful family that she really enjoyed. She had an incredible sense of humor, just a quick wit. And even though she had gotten advanced in age and she wasn't as spry as she once was, in fact, she was in a wheelchair. She could no longer walk the last years of her life, but her mind was still good. She was still sharp, and she still had that quick wit. You were never going to talk to her that she didn't have a one-liner or some wisecrack or a joke to tell you. She was just funny. When she passed away, it wasn't a happy day. Her friends and family were sad. They were sad that she was gone. They were going to miss her. They would miss that quick wit. They missed that laugh that she had. They were going to miss how she made everyone around her laugh. It was a sad day, but there was great joy at her funeral. People were recalling all those stories from 104 years of laughter and jokes and quick wit, of all the happy memories in the family and the friendships and the community that she had built. There was a real depth of joy at her funeral, even in the midst of the sadness of her death. That's kind of what we're talking about. You can feel good in the midst of the bad because you have that deep joy in your life, even though the circumstances might not make you happy. Even though things may not always go as you want them to go, you can still have a deep sense of joy because you have healthy relationships of love in your life, because you have passion for what you do in your life, because you are building a life that matters and healthy relationships that last through a life of love. You can build yourself a life of joy and feel good even when things feel bad, even when things go wrong, even in the difficult circumstances. And so how do we do that? Well, the first step is to do exactly what I'm talking about. Feel two things at one time. We do have the capacity to experience two things simultaneously. Actually, a lot more than that. We don't always know that because we very rarely have the ability to think about two things at the same time. Our conscious brains really need to focus. And one of the ways to mess things up is to try to focus on several things at one time, try to do two or three things simultaneously. You're probably not going to do any of them well. Our conscious brain taking action usually has to function doing one thing at a time to really do it well. And so we get into this mindset that that's the way we are, that that's the way we're wired up, that we can only do one thing at a time. So we assume we can only feel one thing at a time, and that is not true. Our emotions are more complex. While our conscious mind of taking an action might need to focus on one thing to really do it right, our emotions can be more complex than that, and we can feel a lot of things simultaneously. We can feel happy and sad at the same time when two different events take place in our life. We don't have to focus on one or the other. We can understand both exist, and we're happy about one, and we're unhappy about the other, and one does not have to overcome the other. We can simultaneously have both. I'll give you an example out of my own life. Right now, you've heard me on this show talk many times about my book coming out. I'm very excited that Morgan James Publishing picked up my book. It's going to be available nationwide, wherever books are sold in June of 2025. It's available for pre-order on my website, and it is a very exciting time. I love the fact that I have a book coming out and that it's going to be available to everyone, and I really believe in this message. I believe that love is the answer. I believe that as we apply the principles and the components of love to the questions of life and the struggles of life, that we find answers, that we can build healthy, happy, thriving relationships, even if that's been a struggle so far. I believe passionately in this message, and I've never been more excited about anything happening than for my book to come out and be available anywhere books are sold very soon. That is an exciting time. Now, at the same time, my 26-year-old nephew is battling cancer. Very serious situation, dire situation. We have every hope that he's going to come through this. He has a great attitude. He has great doctors. He is going through treatments, and we're keeping the faith and believing that he is going to win this battle, but it's a battle. And I've just been devastated. This has been such a blow to me and my family of having to deal with a 26-year-old with his whole life ahead of him, of all these great things. He's got a job that he loves. He's got a fiance that he loves. He's got great things going for him all his life ahead. And now he's having to deal with this devastating diagnosis and this battle for his life. And I feel terrible. It's a struggle for all of us. Every one of my family and all of his friends are rallying around him, and we're all hurting for this situation. I feel both at the same time. I'm deeply hurting and very excited about the things going on in my life simultaneously. Now, obviously, I am not going to let the excitement of my book just push the idea that my nephew is suffering out of my life. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to just be excited and think nothing of my nephew's issues and his struggle with cancer. That would be absurd. But neither do I need to let the struggles and the pain that I'm dealing with now take away from the excitement that my book is coming out, and I believe that it can touch lives in a positive way. I can feel two things at the same time. I can be happy and sad simultaneously. Our emotions have the ability to do that. Now, my brain can't do that. I'm usually having to focus on one or the other. I can't focus on both at the same time. I have to focus on my nephew when it's time to help my family, when it's time to rally together and get some things done to make sure he has everything he needs. I'm focused on that. When it's time to do things to publicize my book and to do the things around that with my publisher, I'm focused on that. My brain can't focus on both simultaneously, but my emotions can. And so we can feel good in the midst of the bad. Bad things are going to happen. But when we understand that we can feel more than one thing, we can also hold on to the good. That may be some work. We may have to train our brains to do that. We have to train our emotional selves to do that. But we can feel both at the same time. When we allow ourselves to do that, we can feel good in the midst of the bad. Another trick to this is don't get too far ahead in life. Stay in the moment. Stay in the present. One of the things that really steals our joy of life is our own imagination. Imagining what's going to happen is usually not a great idea. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't prepare for the future. There's a few obvious things that we need to prepare for. There's things that can happen that we need to make sure we're ready. And so we need to prepare for the next day. We need to prepare for next year. We need to do the things that are necessary to lay the groundwork for our life ahead. That's obvious. But don't get too far down the road in your imagination. Don't start imagining what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day and the next day. That usually takes us into a very negative place. Stay where you are and do what you can right now to build that life that matters and those healthy relationships that last. Do what you can in this moment, this day, to build the foundation for a good life going ahead. It's not that we ignore what's ahead, it's that we don't imagine it. We do what we can right now to build that healthy, happy, thriving life and those happy, healthy, thriving relationships into the future, not just imagining what's going to happen. Because usually, for most people, our imagination takes us to very negative places. We get scared, we get worried, we start wondering what's going to happen, and we usually think of the worst. And so kind of stay where you are. Don't get too far ahead. Let things play out. How many times have you been upset and worried about something and it never actually happened? Let life play out. Make good decisions in the moment. Make good decisions each day to lay a good foundation going ahead, but don't imagine too far into the future and get too worried in your imagination about what could happen. Make the decisions you need to make today to build that good future, because our imagination is what tends to steal our joy. One of the things that might help us with this is something we get from Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the Serenity Prayer. It's something that's used a lot in that. And it says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I really want to emphasize that last line, the wisdom to know the difference. If you can change something, change it. If you can make something different, make it different if that's what you really want. If you see something negative that you can change in your life, change it. If you can't, if there is nothing you can do, find some serenity. Understand that you're not going to be able to fix everything in the world. You're not going to be able to fix everything in life. That's okay, because we can feel good even when we feel bad. If you can't fix every bad thing, you can feel good anyway. You can feel good in the midst of that bad. And so find serenity in what you feel good about. knowing there is still bad. And if you can change it, then change it, and have the wisdom to know the difference. Find that wisdom to know what you can change and work passionately towards that change, and know when you cannot, and find serenity in that, looking for the joy of life in the midst of those things you can't change, in the midst of the hardships you can't do anything about. Find the serenity, the joy, the depth of life in your relationships, in the happy moments of life, in those good things that you really do enjoy in life. Hold to those, not ignoring the bad, but allowing yourself to feel both at the same time. We recognize the bad, but we can feel good in the midst of the bad. And if you can do that, if you develop this skill, it's going to help you be happier in life, be healthier in life, build healthier relationships, have deeper connections, because you're not going to be always distracted by the difficulties of life. You're going to be able to also have those happy moments and live out those happy moments with the people that you love. This is why love is the answer. This is why we need to understand how to apply love and healthy relationships to the life we live that we know is going to be difficult, but love is the answer to that difficulty. I write about all of this in my book, Learning Love. I hope you'll pick up a copy. It's available on my website for pre-order now. I do appreciate you listening. Love well, everyone.